Yes, and we've done different things. We've tried different things, actually. Richard's house is nice and modern, but it wasn't that big, and they've got lots of children and dogs. And they've got a big garden for the dogs to run around in, but and they've now actually built an annex in the garden, so we can stay there. Before, there just physically wasn't room for us because they've got all these children and they've got a schoolroom as well to do the schooling. But they built a schoolroom and guest room in the garden.
Have you used that?
Yeah, used that. So what we've done in various times is we've either stayed in a different house altogether. Occasionally we stayed with Richard's Colombian in-laws, and they have a very big house, so they can accommodate all of us. So then both families are in somebody else's house. That's another dynamic altogether, with even more dogs. So that's kind of fun. And then we hired one time we went there, we actually hired an Airbnb down the road, just a 5 or 10 minute drive away.
It was post-COVID. We knew we were going to be with them for a month, and we felt like we might be a little on top of them for their good if we were there for that length of time. That was when they didn't have the annex.
Yeah, that worked really well actually, because we spent a good period of time with them, but then we were able to go and retreat into our space and just, decompress, or whatever word you want to use. And likewise, they had their time as a family. Intrusive is a word. You don't want to be intrusive. You don't want to be intruding into their space. They need time to decompress and do various things. So when we've stayed long term, various things have happened to us. I mean, sometimes when we're staying long term, we'll actually take a few days break and go away somewhere else and leave them in peace for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Exactly what we thought.
Just to recharge their batteries, so we're not always there.
Okay.
Second thing is, when we are there long term, we go out and do other things. So because of the setting we're in Colombia, we get asked to do church things as well. So we do go and speak in another church. Actually, last time we were there, we went to another city for a few days to be in another church and do some work there. So I think, even though you're there all the time, it's good to dip in and dip out of it to give them breathing space. Mind you, the other things happened to us as well. We were actually
we arrived one year, Priscilla, and Richard said to us he had a new baby 1 month old. That was their 4th child at the time. He said, "Oh, we have to be in Washington this week. The plane's tomorrow. Can you look after the 3 kids?"
So they just disappeared. We were left. On another occasion, we were left with the children, and they were ill. They were sick. They were all unwell. We had them in bed with us at night, kicking us out of bed and all sorts. And they went off somewhere. And so we can be very good grandparents sometimes. It's very helpful when it comes to babysitting, but we didn't quite expect that. So we lived under the same roof, and they disappeared off. So, but actually, that's not a bad thing too. You can say, "Why don't you take a break?"
I mean, they're going to have a new baby, aren't they? I think that the important thing, and it's something I've said to both my daughters when they've had new babies, is, look, I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you. I'll do the sort of things that free you up to be with your baby. I'll do the washing or the cleaning or the cooking, but you have my total permission to tell me what you don't want me to do. And it might be okay this week and you don't want me to do it next week. We're just going to keep this really open dialogue about how it is for us being together like this. And you can say if I'm stepping on your toes or doing something the way you don't want it. I think when we lived with Richard and he has this annex in the garden, we would get up and it's obviously a different setting to what you're going to, but we were able to make our own breakfast and maybe join the family a little later in the day, so they had got themselves up, or we would go to bed a little earlier, so we weren't on top of them all the time. So you could do things like that even though you're under the same roof. You can still give yourself that little bit of space.
So I appreciate what you have said, and especially the one on boundaries, and also getting back to them to check.